on the Newman Jets Audio Network. This is the Jetcast, the official podcast of Newman University Athletics, featuring exclusive interviews with coaches, players, administrators, and more. The Jetcast podcast is brought to you by South Central Ceiling and Paving, online at SCSEALING.com. Mel Hambledon Ford, Pepsi, Eck Agency, Donlinger Construction, Big Corner Creative, Dr. Brennan Lucas and Advanced Orthopedic Associates, Keystone Solid Surfaces, and by Overland Charters, the official transportation provider of Newman University Athletics. Here's the voice of the Newman Jets, Blake Krebs.
2022 has been a banner year for Newman Jets softball. The Jets enter the last week of the season with an 18-26 record, matching a program record for wins, and the Jets have a chance for the MIAA tournament as well. We are here for the penultimate edition of the Jetcast for 2022. This is episode 69. Anissa Ramos, one of two Jets that will be on our show today. She's one of two Jets in every game that she's played. She has started for Newman, all 44 of them. She joins us, I believe, I was talking before the show, Anissa, I believe that you are the first person in the history of the Jetcast, and even counting the coaches show when we did that back when we were on the radio. I don't think anybody's ever been on the show twice in one season, so a little history for you there as well. Thanks so much for coming back.
Of course, thank you.
You guys had a tremendous week last week. They went 3-1 last week. They had a sweep at Nebraska Kearney, got beat in game one at Fort Hays State 10-2, but then came back to nip the Tigers 6-5 in game two of that doubleheader. So a 3-1 week in the MIAA. That had to feel really good. How proud are you guys of what you were able to accomplish on the road? And gosh, that's probably your longest or second longest road trip of the year last week too.
Yeah, it was just a really good weekend for us. We played for each other, and our approach was, I think, the best we've had in the past 2 years I've been here at least. We played for each other. We did what we had to do. You know, we swept Kearney, and the next game came out and split with UCO, so it was a really good weekend for us. So,
what do you mean by, when you say your approach, what specifically are you talking about, and what's making this year's approach, I mean, obviously the numbers speak for themselves, what's making your approach this year more effective and more efficient for you guys?
I guess I would like to say we have really played for each other this past year. Has just been a lot better with the team chemistry. We have a lot better talent. We do. I have to say that's a key factor in this year's numbers. I guess just our approach up to bat. We are a high-scoring team. We hit a lot. That's not a big factor, but we just played for each other, and I guess numbers are showing when we play for each other.
Now, one of the things that we've been dealing with over at the baseball diamond a lot, and I know that because I see you guys over, you guys have a little bit more hair, so it's flopping around in the wind.
Yes.
Is there a lot of wind? You're from Long Beach, California.
Yeah.
5'1" sophomore infielder, by the way. There that much wind in California when you guys are playing?
Not compared to playing, especially this weekend in Hays. It was horrible.
Well, let me tell you, it was the same down here in Wichita.
Yeah.
It's a little bit different because the fields are kind of reversed in how they're aligned. So most of the time it's blowing out of the south, it seems like. Mm-hmm. So that's favoring the right-handed hitters at McCarthy Field, whereas on the NU softball field, that would be favoring the left-handed hitters.
Yeah.
Have you seen any moonshots over there?
We have. Our team specifically maybe have not played with the wind, I would say. We have a couple lefties, but I mean, Lindsay Mayo is the one that has been leading us in home runs, and she'll get them out there, but it has been hard to, I guess, play with the wind, especially being a right-handed batter. So
sure. Well, and what's the biggest adjustment that you've had to make in playing with the wind? And when I bring this up because, I mean, when she says it was crazy, like we've had 2 wind days. I don't think I've ever remembered this, but we had 2 wind days over at baseball. It was gusting to 50, 55. So when obviously defensively, that's going to move the softball around. We've seen it move the baseball around incredibly. How do you have to adjust, especially on like what would be any other day a normal pop fly on the infield, and all of a sudden, when it's gusting to 50, that's anything but routine.
Just like a basic pop-up to me, maybe that could be in the outfield. That could even be a home run with this wind. Last year when we played UCO, I actually hit a walk-off. It was a pop-up to the second baseman, but she couldn't read it. Like, it's hard to read. It definitely is hard to read.
So no wind in California. You guys, as we talked about just before we started, you guys are tied now, the winningest team in NU history, and you guys have got 4 games coming up next, and they will be at Missouri Southern on Friday. That's a 3 o'clock doubleheader, and then at Pittsburg State to wrap things up on Saturday. That's a 1 o'clock doubleheader. How much does it mean? How important is it to you guys? How much have you talked about? Obviously, you want to get 3 of 4, 4 of 4 to give yourself a chance to make the MIAA tournament, but how much do you want that one win just to say, we're the best team that Newman's ever had, and a good chance to maybe get to that 20-win mark for the first time in school history?
It's really huge. Honestly, last year it's been a big jump between the team last year and this year, and us returners after the game in Hayes, we're like, oh my gosh, we just tied it. Like, if we get one more win, knowing us, we're gonna get the win. I mean, it's huge.
Absolutely.
It's just really encouraging.
I mean, the improvement that you guys have made is dramatic. I mean, yes. I think you guys won 6 games last year.
Yeah.
You guys have, that's 12 more. You've won 3 times as many more games. Did you think, I'm sure that when you put in the work in the offseason, you always assume, you don't put in the work thinking, oh, well, we're just going to win 6 games again. Mm-hmm. You always think you're going to get better, you're going to improve. Did you think you'd be this much further ahead than you were last year?
Honestly, yes. We brought in a lot of girls that were going to really help us. We have the depth this year. We have girls that have the right mentality, and I definitely knew we were going to be a lot better than we were last year.
So coming up on the show, we're also going to be joined by Mackenzie Anderson. She is a senior from right here in Kansas, from Halstead, a utility player. I want to know from you, what's the one thing that we don't know about Mackenzie?
There's a lot of things, but I just think Mackenzie's one of our hardest workers. She has to, I guess, put in the most work, and she's definitely improved from the last couple of years I've played with her, and she puts her all for this team, and she's just a great person all around.
Yeah, but she's hitting about 100 points higher this year than she did last year, so the improvement has been dramatic. You were very nice. We'll see. I'm going to ask her the same question about you. We'll see if she gives a similarly friendly answer. At Missouri Southern, 3 o'clock on Friday. At Pittsburg State, 1 o'clock on Saturday, both on the road. So I guess last question for you. Obviously, looking at the standings, you don't want to. How much do you guys look at the standings right now as you go in? Obviously, you came in and said, man, we really needed Emporia State to lose. That would have really been helpful. It didn't happen, obviously. But, are you guys going to be scoreboard watching in the middle of the game?
We have been at practice yesterday. We were watching these games. I mean, every game is crucial. Everybody's in it. Anybody can beat anybody, as we've seen. We beat Rogers State.
Number 2 team in the country, and there's a great video of that. I think that's on the Newman Jets or the @Newman Jets SB Twitter page. You can go and check that out, where they literally walked it off, a bases-loaded walk to end the game. There was an ejection for Rogers State. It was pandemonium and bedlam at NU softball field. That had to be extremely rewarding and exciting.
Yes, that was, honestly, we knew we could beat them. We have the team. I think we thought their pitcher was going to be a lot better than she was. I mean, she is. They do ride her, and we expected more of them, and I think they expected to roll over us, and they did not.
Do you guys feel like you show up and maybe this year, I mean, it might be different next year, mm-hmm. but do you feel like teams, when they show up to play Newman, like, oh, well, this team just won 6 games, yeah. They're not really a threat to us? How much did that play into your guys' mentality and aggressiveness when you got onto the field this year?
Yeah, especially playing like the top teams, Rogers State, UCO, just like these bigger teams. I think they expected to roll over us. And
you also said, it's interesting you use the word bigger, because we were talking, saying, we're all, everybody on the Newman team, we're all short girls. Yeah. We don't have anybody who's really, do you have anybody who's tall on the team that you would consider tall?
I mean, we have our pitcher, Anna Veltine, and I would say maybe Caitlin Pratt, but we don't have any girl that's probably like, wow, she's huge. Like, when I go to UCO or play these bigger teams, like, oh, I'm a lot smaller than these girls.
But as we mentioned, that's not, it's not necessarily how big you are. It's how, how well you execute, how well you fight. And, to you guys, I don't know, they talk about, there are guys who will have like a little man syndrome. Do you guys have a little team syndrome, and you feel like you guys have to prove yourself when you get on the field?
Yeah, every game we play, I feel like we're proving ourselves to these teams. We've proved that we can beat the best of the best, and it's just the matter of if our offense is on, if our pitching's on, we can beat whoever we play on.
Well, next up for you guys, it's at Missouri Southern, at Pittsburg State. So you guys are making the Southeast Kansas, Southwest Missouri swing here. The Lions are above you in the standings. Pittsburg State have to have those two games. How do you take the right approach into this weekend, knowing that you've got to win at least 3 of 4? You need some help. Obviously, winning 4 of 4 would be fantastic for you guys, but you can't put too much on any one play, any one game. What do you think is the right mindset to approach this last pair of doubleheaders?
Honestly, just leaving it all on the field and having the right approach, like I said, talking to you earlier, just playing for each other and executing, doing our jobs. When we make the routine plays, do everything we're supposed to do, we're a good team.
Anissa, Ramos, infielder on this Newman Jets softball team, will be looking for the program record in victories coming up this weekend. And we'll be joined by another softball player, her teammate, coming up in just a moment. Thanks so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We'll hear from Mackenzie next on the Jetcast.
Where can you land the best Jet swag? The official online store of Newman University Athletics, NUJetsgear.com. The store features the greatest variety of Jets logo gear anywhere, from latest clothing styles and hats to Newman-branded lawn chairs and office supplies and more. NUJetsgear.com is your place to purchase sports-specific, alumni, parents, and hard-to-find Newman merchandise. Shop right now on your computer or phone, NUJetsgear.com, or click the Shop Now button at NewmanJets.com.
Life. It throws you curves and it knocks you down. But what separates the good from the great is the getting back up. Newman University will always get back up. We are a university of doers, of innovators, of transformers. We inspire as we soar to new heights. We will not be beaten. We will not settle for anything less than the best. We are Newman University.
It's a lot of softball this week on the penultimate Jetcast of the year. We'll wrap things up with episode 70 next week. We are joined by our second softball player, Mackenzie Anderson, a senior utility player from Halstead, Kansas, a transfer in from Pratt Community College. She has started in 30 games for the Jets, hitting .265 for Newman as they go in once again at Missouri Southern and at Pittsburg State. 3 o'clock doubleheader Friday, 1 o'clock on Saturday. Weather is actually looking fairly decent, so you may actually be able to believe those times that I tell you this week. Mackenzie Anderson joins us on the Jetcast. Thank you so much for being here, Mackenzie.
Of course, thank you for having me.
You guys, talk about you first. You're hitting .265 this year. You're hitting like 100 points better than you did last year. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
What has been the catalyst to your increased offensive output this year, do you think?
To be honest, just knowing it's my last year here, it's kind of just a do-or-die moment, giving it all I can, and just remembering to leave it all on the field. But I think my approach this year is definitely a lot better than it was last year, especially with the team that I have behind me. Like, I trust them. And so it's kind of just like I do my own job, and I can respect them and know that they'll do it after me.
It's almost like a culture thing. We were talking with that about Anissa. She said you guys were very well aware that when you won that 18th game, that tied the program record in wins. And so you get one more this weekend. You guys will be the best team that Newman's ever had, possibly the first 20-win season in Newman history. How much would that mean to you as a senior to kind of leave that as your legacy?
That's a crazy feeling, actually. That'd be amazing. Like,
it would be.
Lost of words almost.
So you are a Kansas girl.
Yes.
You've played a bunch of softball at Kansas. So I asked Anissa, who's a California girl, about the wind. and how insane it's been, because we've had, last 2 weeks, it's gusted to 50 plus. It's been unbelievable. And she said that she's not used to it at all, being from California. Are you used to it as a native Kansan?
I'm used to a little bit of wind, but last weekend was crazy. That was not fun.
So you're a utility player, which means you play, you can dabble in just about everything. What position do you feel like you've played the most innings this year defensively?
Left field.
So in the outfield, the wind can, have you gotten twisted up on any this year?
Oh, yeah. I think all of us have, yeah. There'd be balls that were hit to the outfield, routine pop-up. Next thing you know, the pitcher's, calling it. I'm like, what the heck is going on?
Sure. Well, and have there been any that you're like, oh, that's foul? And like, oh, wait, no, that's not.
Yeah, there's been a few of those, too, yeah.
So you kind of have to watch it all the way in. So looking at the standings, looks like you guys need to win about 3 of 4 to have the best chance and get some help. Obviously, if you win 4 of 4, that would be great to get into the MIAA tournament. Was that a big goal for you guys who are seniors on this team, upperclassmen, let's say, did you think that was possible to go from 6 wins to possibly making the MIAA tournament?
100%, yeah. Just from the fall, looking at what we brought in, it was highly confident that we were going to make it this far.
You guys have improved so much. What do you think is the area that the team has improved in the most from last year to this year?
I would say offensively, we've definitely improved a lot, but also our pitchers, I feel like, have taken that step. They were good, obviously, last year, but this year they're more disciplined. And we can put a lot of trust in them.
I asked a question of Anissa. I'm going to ask you the reverse question. I asked her for one thing that we didn't know about you. She said she was really nice there, because there's a million ways she could have gone with that. She said, oh, she's the hardest working player. She's improved so much, has a great attitude. So you can do whatever you want. But I want to know one thing about Anissa that we don't know. So what's one thing that you can share about Anissa that the rest of us don't know that might be interesting? I mean, and you could be nice, or maybe you won't be. I don't know.
I don't know. Anissa, she has a heart that a lot of players don't I would be thankful to have the love of the game that she carries with her. No matter if we're down, we're up, she's always motivating everybody. She's always up, being a leader. First of all, she is young, obviously, and she's probably one of the top leaders on our team.
I would. That's a good answer. She'll appreciate that. When she talks in a way about the game. I didn't ask her about this. I think maybe. Do you think she might want to be a coach at some point?
I don't know. She'd be a good one, though.
Yeah?
She helps me.
That's kind of what I was wondering. One thing that the fans will have missed, and you can see all this on social media. I'm sure there's going to be pictures, but and I'm not sure. You may have a test or something. You may have work and not be attending tonight. But for a lot of the Jets, they'll be getting dressed up to the nines tonight. Apparently, you're going to be one of them.
Oh, yeah.
So this would have happened yesterday as you're watching this on Wednesday or listening on Wednesday on the Jetcast. But the Jetspies are set up just next door here in the gym. How excited are you for the Jetspies coming up? I would think that if you win 12 more games than last year, I would think that softball probably should get some Jetspie awards tonight.
Yeah, we have a couple awards that we're nominated for. Game of the Year, and then we have a freshman, Gianna. She is up for an award this year too. So, yeah, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. How much do you guys look forward to this? And I'm assuming everybody's got their outfit picked out, because this is the one time, I will say sometimes the guys don't always go all out for this.
Yeah, I think it's different for girls for sure. It's like the one time you get to dress up in college.
I know.
Not wear sweats and t-shirts, right?
Sure. So you guys are looking forward to it.
Oh, yeah.
I know another thing that you're looking looking forward to are the series this weekend. Missouri Southern, Pittsburg State. Once again, those games will be streamed on the MIAA network, so you can watch these games. I believe they're on the MIAA network. It's 3 o'clock on Friday at Missouri Southern, 1 o'clock Saturday doubleheader at Pittsburg State. What's the thing that you're looking forward to competing against these teams? And we talked with Anissa about making sure you have the right mindset. Something bad's going to happen in each of these games. It's how you respond to that. You can't, score 5 runs on one hit if things go badly to start. How do you stay positive and live in the moment, play to play? Because you guys need some wins, you need some help, but obviously you can't put too much pressure on yourself, especially in a game like softball. So as a senior leader on this team, what's the kind of leadership that you want to provide going into this last week of the season?
I kind of just would like to look at it as these could be my last games ever. So I'm kind of just going out there, leaving it all on the field, and just hoping for the best, obviously. But it's highly doable. I think we could take all 4, to be honest. So, just go out there and leave it out, no sweat.
Leave all 4. That would leave the Jets in a pretty good spot to make the MIAA tournament. It would be their first ever postseason tournament appearance. So let's see if they can get it done. Once again, 3 o'clock. That's when the Jets will next be in action against Missouri Southern. 3 o'clock Friday, 1 o'clock Saturday at Pittsburg State. And once again, the weather is looking fairly good. I don't know about how not windy it's going to be. That is a different story. But in terms of rain, looks like the games will get on as scheduled. Mackenzie Anderson, senior utility player from Halstead, Kansas. Thank you so much. Go get them this weekend out in southeast Kansas and southwest Missouri.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much for being here. We will be joined by the director of tennis, Shella Augspurger. She's got a lot to do with these Jets beats. And the Newman Jets tennis teams, both the men and the women, are in postseason. We'll talk to her all about it next. The Newman Jets tennis teams are going to be in action this week. They both made the postseason. Shella Augspurger is the director of tennis, and so we're going to wrap things up on the Jetcast here, our second to last episode of the year with Newman Jets tennis. The Newman teams both beat Emporia State last time out to get themselves into postseason contention. First of all, any season that both teams make the conference tournament, that's a pretty good season. So congratulations to you. How excited are you about both your men and women getting to participate in some late April tennis?
I'm really excited. The girls kind of clinched a while back, so we knew we just were trying to play for seeding, so we wouldn't have to play some of the top teams.
Sure.
But we did pretty well, so that was good. And then the boys just clinched on Friday, so it's been a whirlwind.
What was the scene like when the guys knew that they, I'm assuming they had to beat Emporia State in order to clinch.
Yes.
The men are going to be playing in the Great American Conference MIAA tournament. They have a combined conference in men's tennis, so it's the GAC MIAA tournament. Women's tennis is just run by the MIAA, so it's the MIAA tournament. What was that scene like when they knew that they had clinched the postseason?
Well, the girls we had to play inside because the wind was 30 miles an hour, so we can't play outside. So I was with the girls. We had just finished, and I had come down, and there was two guys still. But when the last guy to win the match won. It was kind of crazy, but we still had to be, calm because we still had two guys still playing. So
sure. Well, and I know that a lot of times, like I'll watch like the national championship tennis tournaments, and they'll have 2 or 3 matches going on, and once one of them wins, the other matches they just it's over. I don't know if they go back and restart those, but they start yelling and they just throw their rackets in the air, and it's national championship. Who cares at that point? So the women are going to be the number 3 seed in the MIAA tournament. So you mentioned
no, we're the 6th seed.
Oh, you're the 6th seed.
We
okay.
played the 3rd seed.
You play the 3rd seed. So the women's seed, I have that here. Number 6 seed taking on Missouri Western, I believe, in the first round. How difficult of a task will that be to take on the Griffins?
Well, we lost to them at the first time, but we hadn't been outside too much when we played them, and we had one girl sick, so we didn't have our full lineup. I'm not sure, they just sent out the lineups yesterday, so I haven't really had a chance to look at them to see who they have playing, but they're tough. I mean, they're the number 3 seed in a really tough conference. They've had a really good year. We played them tough. So we'll see. We're a lot better than we were when we played them. And
then where are the men going to be seeded? I think they're the number 8 seed in the GAC MIAA tournament.
Well, the way they do it is they take 3 from each side.
Oh, that's right.
We're the 3rd seed from
that pod.
MIAA.
Okay.
And we'll play the 2 seed, which is Southern Arkansas. They're the 2 seed from the GAC.
Okay, so they're going to kind of switch up like divisions and cross-pollinate the bracket
it's kind
there.
Of confusing, but
yeah, it is. There's a little bit different. How much have you guys seen the GAC schools this year on the men's side?
We played most of them. A couple of them came here, and then we went down to Arkansas over spring break and played a couple of them down there. And I think Harding may be the only one we didn't play. But I think we got most of them.
Now, you guys had the last home meet here very recently, and you guys had one senior to celebrate. So I wanted to ask you about Maria Cavalcanti, your senior on the women's team. What's it been like having her in your program, and what's it going to be like saying goodbye to her here in a few weeks?
Well, I cried at senior day, so but she did too, so that was good. I'm going to miss her. She's a good leader. She is one of the most coachable players I've had since I've been coaching here at Newman. She's always, I don't think I've ever asked her to work harder on the court. I've never, even in a match. Now, when she first came, she was a little nervous to try some new stuff.
Sure.
But she wasn't going to succeed if she kept playing the way that she, had what got her here. I mean, that was a good thing, but.
And it's always a difficult transition. She's an international player. I believe she's from Italy.
No, she's from Brazil.
So yeah, that's right, from Brazil. And so what is the big, how do you, because you recruit a lot of international players, or have historically, what's the thing that you have to do to try to make them comfortable? Because, obviously when you're moving, you're changing countries, you're away from family, friends, support system, you got nothing. Food is different. And, I think everybody's spoken and understood English pretty well when they've got here, but obviously not being in your native language, that would be another, headspace. How do you try to make those players comfortable when they get here? Because if you're, thinking about 100 other things, you're obviously not going to play your best tennis.
Right. Well, that's the thing, and we had a lot of new players this year. So even on the men's side, we had 8 new players. Trying to get them to work as a team and get to know each other. And one of the biggest things is accepting people, because you have to learn that just because somebody's different than you doesn't mean that it's wrong.
Sure.
Once they break that down, then they start accepting people and start working as a team. And in our sport, if you are from another country, you probably only played tennis. You didn't play on other teams because they don't have those kind of teams in high school. So you play outside of high school.
Sure.
So a lot of because tennis is an individual sport, they aren't used to playing teams. So when they come here and you have to mold them into a team, and they're like, you want me to root for somebody who's trying to take my position? Like, the whole concept is really hard. But then once they start trusting me and they start trusting that everybody is working for the same goal, and it takes a while.
Sure.
And sometimes I get a little frustrated because I'm like, I just want it to happen. But especially on the boys, where there wasn't we didn't have a lot of returners, so there wasn't that here's how we do it.
Sure.
You know, it was like they had to kind of develop their own way of doing it with a little guidance. So
the wind has been problematic for us outdoors. Tennis is supposed to be an outdoor sport. I mean, I remember when, you know, like at the U.S. Open where Arthur Ashe didn't have a roof. It still shouldn't have a roof in my opinion, but the winds were swirling and they would be blowing around, and, you know, the players, it was tough for them to figure it out. Where do they draw the line for the wind? Because we've had gusts to 50 miles per hour. I can only imagine how difficult that would make conditions. But I know that there are some people who would say, you know, that playing the conditions, playing the wind, that's part of tennis too.
Well, I think to a point. I mean, with the ball as soft and light as it is, you know, are you playing, like, we'll practice in the wind?
Sure.
But it doesn't mean anything. Like, we're just practicing. But then in a match, it's like it's supposed to be who's the better team or who's
Sure.
playing the best, not who can control the wind the best. And sometimes nobody can control the wind because the ball just goes wherever.
Sure.
But it has this year, especially when you get these kids from other places who don't grow up playing in
Is
the
that
wind.
not apparently is the United States the only place? Is Kansas the only place where it's windy? Because I had a softball player on from California. She said, "Oh, the wind here is crazy."
Yeah.
And then, you know, obviously these these non-American players come in, these international players. Like, God, the wind here is crazy. So apparently Kansas is the only place where it's windy, other than, you know, Arthur Ashe Stadium when they didn't have a roof.
Yeah, Texas. I think some of my kids from Texas say, "Oh, this is nothing."
I had Felisa on from the golf team. She said, "No, the wind up here is for real."
Oh, yeah.
That's what she had. She's from Texas.
Well,
so.
and I think it's worse than it's been in a while, like during spring season.
Sure, maybe. Yeah. I mean, we had 2 days out there at, you know, baseball and softball where it was gusting to 50, which I don't recall that. That
We
is
were
definitely
probably
new.
inside.
You were
on those
probably
days.
inside. Another thing that's going to be inside, and it's probably a good thing, is going to be the jet speeds. So as people are watching and listening to this will have occurred yesterday. I'm assuming there's going to be some social media coverage at Newman Jets. So if you want to go and see some of the ladies and the guys who are dressed up a little bit tonight, you can do that. And the awards, I think those will be posted as well. But I know that you are heavily involved as one of the SAC faculty representatives in terms of setting this up. I just assume whenever anything needs to be decorated in athletics, you pretty much do it, whether it's Jet Open or Christmas or Jetsby. So I'm assuming all the decorations in there are you, or at least under your supervision.
Yeah, I've had a really good SAC. The board and the SAC this year has been amazing. I mean, I have probably done less this year than I've ever done because of the leadership of Lauren Esfeld, who is the president.
Who we've had on the show, by the way.
Yes, and her board. And then
I believe Ian Leckie is on that board, who we had on the show, by the way. So we do get SAC members on the show.
I think actually all the SAC board members have been on the show.
Yeah, I would not be surprised.
But the whole SAC group, which is 2 reps from each sport, they have been just amazing. So I can't even imagine what it's like them leading on their team in some way, because they have done a really good job this year.
Final question for you. This weekend, obviously, the men and the women will be in action in their respective conference tournaments. How do you kind of split this up? Because I don't believe that these are in the same location. So you've kind of got a Taryn Torgerson situation here where you're coaching both teams, but you can only be in one place. We have not, refined that technology yet to have you in 2 places at once. So how are you going to handle this weekend, and how do you hope that your 2 teams handle this weekend?
Well, as far as me, I have Jetsby's today. The boys are leaving at 3, so I have my volunteer assistant is taking them down because they have warm-up tonight.
So they will be missing the Jetsby's.
Yeah, they're not happy about that, but they're excited about going to the conference tournament. So we have 2 that we're leaving home.
So we won't have any tennis players.
We'll have 3. We're leaving the ones that aren't in the lineup are going to stay and go down with me. So as soon as Jetsby's over, I'm taking them and we're driving down.
And then the women, I assume are they also missing, or is there a shorter drive?
Theirs isn't till we don't leave till Thursday.
Okay.
It was the men because it was we didn't find out till Friday, and then they had to be down there tonight. So
of course,
trying to get them all situation, travel, and all that.
Gotcha. So you'll be going with the men then.
Well, I'll be down there tonight.
Down there
They'll
tonight.
already be down there.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then so let's talk about what the team needs to do. You can only focus on one match at a time, only focus on 1 point at a time. What's the correct approach to, make a run, get through that? You got to get through that first round game in order to have a chance. So how do they get through that first round match?
Just playing like they played against Emporia. It's the end of season. This is all we got. I think they played them tough. I'm not sure. Southern Arkansas, when we played them before, had their strongest lineup in. And we had just started playing outside. I think the guys have improved. We only have one injury right now. Well, we don't know if he'll be able to play, but we've got a pretty solid team. Nobody's really that superstar.
Sure.
But we have a real solid team, and I think they're playing at their best right now, so we'll give it a shot. See what happens.
The Newman Jets tennis teams both in action, women at the MIAA tournament this weekend and the men at the Great American Conference MIAA tournament. Best of luck to both teams and a very, very busy weekend for you.
It's a good weekend.
It is a great, you wouldn't want it to be any other way, but it will be a lot of work. That is our second to last show. The penultimate show is in the books. We'll wrap up with episode 70 next week. Next week, we're going to introduce you to your new Newman Jets volleyball coach. She is coming up next week, along with Newman Athletic Director Joe Pryor. So until then, Blake Cripps saying, Go Jets.